for staying with us. It's been a very informative show so far. Following the xenophobic attacks on foreigners, especially Nigerians in South Africa, lots of Nigerians have returned home. Report has it that South Africa has been begging Nigerians to come back as their economy has not remained the same since Nigerians left. Joining us on the show to give more insight is the President of Public Relations Consultants and Association of Nigeria, Jaiye Opayemi. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Are you sure that one is not Fabusha?
No, but there are two sides to this story. One, a lot of Nigerians that would have traveled to South Africa within this period have not gone because they didn't feel safe. A lot of people even cancelled their trips to South Africa. So, and that is money they're expecting that did not show up. And definitely many Nigerian businesses, the 800 and over 1,000 Nigerians that have said they are coming back are not opening their shops. So that means that some businesses have shut down, and that is also going to impact on their economy. So, sir, break down what is happening now in South Africa and the effect of Nigerians living.
Well, first, I need to say that Nigeria happens to be one of the 16 markets that South Africa identified globally as key markets. They actually wanted to market themselves, to. Meaning that these are the 16 markets they were hoping that tourists will come from and spend money within the South African economy. So having a huge chunk of Nigerians then leaving simply means that there is going to be some distortion expectedly in their economy. But that said, I think perhaps we need to put things in perspective. I like to dimension problems, and I would like to say that by saying the xenophobic attacks may stop, but let us ask ourselves if xenophobia itself will stop. Now, the word xenophobia itself is a fusion of two words, xeno and phobia. Xeno simply means foreign or alien, and phobia means fear. Now, there is very little the Nigerian government, the South African government can do, even though there are things they can do to address xenophobia. Now, such as providing jobs for black South Africans and all of that. But on our own side, Nigerian government also has a responsibility because we can stop the xenophobic attacks, but we may not be able to stop xenophobia because people largely misunderstand us as Nigerians. By nature and by our DNA is terrifying and very intimidating.
You are loud.
Can I raise the volume? Our DNA is terrifying and very intimidating. So sometimes merely looking at us, people just feel we are up to some harm.
Wow.
I once had an experience. We're doing I wouldn't like to mention the country. We're doing a business with one of our partners in one of the African countries. Then I noticed that this guy will always call me at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and he will just say he's just trying to check on me. Then he will call me again and say he's trying to find out if the money has dropped. So I had to speak to a colleague of ours who was based in that particular country. And I said, what's the problem? He said, these guys are afraid of us by our DNA, not because you have done anything criminal, just merely by our DNA. And what's the nature of our DNA? We are boisterous by nature. We are creative, we're loud, we have this never say die spirit. So our African brothers and sisters are usually very afraid of this. That these guys
They come and take over.
They can practically take over. And that was how that colleague of mine helped to define that problem to me, to dimension that problem to me, that you haven't done anything wrong. This guy is just checking that you know, by nature, you can practically take over.
Let's build on this, our DNA that we'll talk about.
Yes.
Because everything right here seems to be failing. An average Nigerian will go abroad and say, me, I'm out of that zoo. Everybody's looking for visa. Why is our DNA not working at home? Why can't we make it work here?
I like that.
That's a very interesting question. And perhaps my appeal is that Nigerians should stop demarketing Nigeria. We are a great people, and I'll give you an example. I felt so proud. I was in Botswana last year, and I mean, as typical of me, I like to talk to the locals, from the cab drivers to the women who sell. So I asked the taxi driver, I said, are there Nigerians here? He said, oh yeah, Nigerians are here. I said, how are they doing? So, oh, Nigerians are great. I said, have you been to Nigeria before? He said, no. I said, so what do you know about it? He said, Nigerians are great. He said, when there is a crime and the police go to the scene of the crime, when they begin to profile and separate people, once they ask and say, you are a Nigerian, you say you are a Nigerian, they just say, go. So I said, why? He said, in Botswana, if a fight breaks out in a club or in a pub, just know that it's as a result of the fact that probably people have had too much booze, and that's why they are fighting. But you will never find a Nigerian in Botswana committing a crime, maybe internet fraud or whatsoever. That made me proud. And you know, I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that will never travel and put my passport in a pouch. I will always travel with my passport in this particular fashion to show that I am proudly Nigerian.
But you just said that they are scared of, or this xenophobia might not go because they feel like Nigerians are really aggressive. Yeah. You know, one of the issues they had, one man that was killed was because he married a South African, and they feel like Nigerians are taking their women away. Those kind of things are not going to stop now. Yes. So, and you're saying, you were going to say what Nigeria can do, yes, because this is something that is their own territory. We can't go there and enforce any law. We can only mediate or probably apply pressure on companies that are in Nigeria. So what exactly can Nigeria as a government do to protect our Nigerian citizens in South Africa and other countries where they are being terrorized or attacked? Okay,
I like to separate the security imperatives from the brand imperatives, because that's where I play as a professional. Now, first and foremost, let us even take a lesson from what South Africa itself did in the early 2000s. South Africa was stigmatized as a country that was known for just, HIV/AIDS, prevalence. What did the South African government do? How did the South African government respond? By 2002, by August 2002, the South African government created an agency known as Brand South Africa. What was the responsibility of Brand South Africa? Just create a compelling brand for South Africa as a nation. And then they separated South Africa Tourism. South Africa Tourism had the responsibility to market South Africa. I have been saying, as well as some of my colleagues who have been saying to government, that until the Nigerian government consciously creates some of these institutions, one, that will be responsible for marketing Nigeria as a destination. The second one that will be responsible for managing Nigeria as a brand.
Good people, great nation.
Oh, I don't even want to go into what that particular experience was like. Now, interestingly, one of the countries that did that great job for South Africa in 2002, 2003, 2004, up till 2007, was a company founded by a Nigerian. And I brought that same company to Nigeria, took that same company to the federal government in Abuja, and I said, look, you do not need to pay the school fees twice. Our brothers in South Africa have paid the school fees. Here is the blueprint. Let's just run with this blueprint. We need to tell our own story.
Because there's crime in South Africa, yet they're able to market tourism.
Absolutely.
But there's also partnership with private sector, because most of the tourist destinations in South Africa are not exactly government-owned. A lot of them are investments by people, just like you have what you have in Dubai, hotels and all that there's an enabling environment for those businesses to thrive. Why are we not doing the same here?
That's a very good question. The thing is that once you try to make this effort a government-led effort, it will never succeed. The role government needs to play is the role of an enabler, to bring the private sector together, to say, look, we have gotten great Nigerians all across the globe, from Dr. Olutoye to Chimamanda, to say, how can you help us to bring all of these people? We have celebration. We have Fela himself. I'm always very afraid to refer to him as, in the past tense. You understand what I mean? So we still have all of these people. These are great icons, Wole Soyinka, around which the authentic Nigerian story can be told until we tell that story. And like Chino Achebe will say, until the lions hire their own historians, the story of the hunt will always glorify the hunters.
Can I just say something? Because Nigerians are, in my own estimation, I've been to a lot of countries all over the world, and even in France, where we don't speak French, Nigerians are full there.
In Iceland, too.
We are so many all over the world. What are we running from? That's number one. I watched a South African complaining about Nigeria, xenophobia, and that we Nigerians were very arrogant. This is what he was saying, that we Nigerians were very arrogant, and we will be saying xenophobia. But what are we all, how many South Africans do we see in Nigeria? Maybe they are all in South Africa, but we are the ones that will go and queue and be looking for, what's that thing? When
yellow card.
Is it in our DNA to migrate?
We will go and queue in South Africa for refugee status.
Asylum, seeking
asylum.
In the US, yeah.
We will go and do, we'll be saying, South African visa is too hard to get. And then he says, it's in Nigeria, life doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't. Everything he was saying, I was listening to it.
And it was very true.
He was like was telling you, why are you people complaining? Your country is not working.